Some of these Anaheim youngsters have been taking television teaching for 2 or 3 years each.
I've never had an experience with TV at school before.
We want awesome, we want fun, we want everything underneath the sun. With my friends at Anaheim Elementary. Anything is possible, you just wait and see. Shine on the back of the shine. We're so excited, let's go explore inside the outdoors, alright.
Today's episode is brought to you by experimentation.
Hey everyone, I'm Mark from Inside the Outdoors, and today we're learning about organic waste. Hey Reap, what is organic waste?
That's a great question, Mark. If you think about organics, those are the natural materials found in nature, but even found at home. Leaves, sticks, maybe leftover salad, apple cores. So the question is, what can we do with those items? Mark, can we learn more about that here at Shipley Nature Center?
Yeah, luckily here at Shipley Nature Center, there's volunteers that work with organic waste and breaking it down into soil. It's called composting, and Addie, she's a volunteer here. She's going to take us through and show us how composting works. Oh, hey, Addie.
Mark, when did you get in there?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Hey, Addie, so this is Addie, and Addie, you're a volunteer at Shipley Nature Center.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you doing?
Well, I'm working on getting these leaves ready for our compost.
What's compost?
Compost is broken down leaves and plant-like materials that turns into nutrients for our plants and trees here.
Like dirt?
Yeah, pretty much like dirt, but with extra food in it.
So you're saying that these leaves, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
These leaves are going to somehow go from here and become dirt.
Yeah, they do. They break down.
Okay, I don't believe you. How does this work?
Well,
Can you show us the process?
yeah, I can show you.
Where
Here.
does this stick go?
It can go
Oh.
in that bucket with all the other ones.
Okay, that makes sense. Gotta put my house back together. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, so where are those leaves gonna go in the first part?
So those leaves would go into a barrel like your house.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And they would start off pretty much like this.
Oh, wow. Wait, this is stinging nettle, right?
Yes, this is
Okay.
stinging nettle, so you shouldn't touch it, but
Oh, that's why you're wearing gloves.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you come around? Okay, so you put, it looks like this just got cut a day ago, maybe today.
Yeah, this is all very new.
Okay, and it's almost full. And so this somehow is going to change.
Yes.
How long is it going to stay in here?
It'll stay in this barrel for about a week.
For about a week. Okay. And then I'm guessing, do you just leave it like that for a whole week? Just, that's it?
We flip it and we water it, but it will stay in this barrel for a week.
Wait, you flip it.
Yes, we'll take out big pitchforks and actually flip it like a big old burger
Oh,
almost.
I was thinking you just pull this off, flip it, put it back on.
We can do that too, but generally
Sometimes it's easier to do it
sometimes it's easier, especially if these are full, we'll have to keep it in the same barrel, but if
I
we
see.
have a bunch empty like we do now, we do actually switch barrels and move them down the line.
Oh, okay. So this is the start. So this has another 5 days to go. Okay, and then you say it goes down here?
Yeah, it goes down here. So a good example of where that would probably look next is here. So you can see this is shrunk down because it's been in this barrel for a bit and it's mostly brown now too.
Yeah, that one was almost full. This one's about half. And yeah, there's no stinging nettle in here, but oh, it's also wet in here.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
holds on to a surprising amount of moisture even if we don't get any rain.
And these flies, are they doing something? Are they helping, or are they just hanging
Yeah,
out?
a lot of different bugs help this process, and you'll see things like flies and worms, ants or roly-polies. Sometimes we see centipedes and even pincher bugs.
Really? Interesting.
And they all go in there, they help. Sometimes they eat the plants, sometimes they kind of just make homes in the plants and break them down.
Okay, okay. So this is like a little habitat.
Yeah, it's certainly like its own little ecosystem here in this barrel.
That's cool. And so then it would, start to look like this one?
Yes, closer to the end of the decomposition progress, it'll just look brown and almost like mulch that you'd buy at the store.
Yeah, this looks quite a bit different than that. So it's a lot darker. Is that white stuff, is that mold?
Yes.
So we got mold, we have insects and other critters, we got flies. Is there anything else that is eating this and turning it into compost?
Maybe not turning it into compost, but the squirrels do like to get in here and sneak snacks.
Oh, really? So like if an acorn got in here, they'd figure it out?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's bacteria in here too, right?
Oh, yeah.
We can't see that, but there's, okay, so we got mold, bacteria. What about fungus?
Oh, we do get mushrooms every once in a while.
Okay. So now you have a thermometer. Why is there a thermometer in here?
So we need to check how hot these get, because if there was any seeds or roots in here, we wouldn't want that to be in the compost and then put in with our other plants.
Oh, because then they would start to grow.
And then it would start to grow. So we would hope that it would get to about 120 degrees at least, but sometimes it gets to 160.
So at 120 degrees, the seeds can no longer become a plant.
No, they get cooked almost. Not like
Okay.
you're making popcorn, but they won't be able to
How
grow.
funny would that be? It's just all come back and there's popcorn.
Oh my
one day.
gosh, that would be insane.
So so this is saying it's almost 120 degrees inside, and the temperature right now is like 75 outside.
Yeah.
So if I was to dig in here, oh yeah, like you know what this reminds me of is about the temperature of like a jacuzzi. It's that warm. You can feel it, like it's almost like hot warm.
It can be really crazy when we're flipping the piles that are further along, especially if it's cold out. They're steaming so much.
Really? That's so. This could steam if it was.
It
cold enough out
could
here.
if it was cold enough out here, or if you get deep enough. Oh yeah, no, that's steaming.
Yeah. Whew. It went in my mouth.
Oh,
That was some tasty steam. All right.
it's bonus nutrients.
Yeah, I'll take it. Makes me feel alive and naturey. And then so from here, because this doesn't still look like compost. What's the next step?
So the next step is we'd sift it. There's a lot of extra things in here like sticks or larger leaves that we wouldn't really want. And
So is this the stuff we wouldn't want?
yeah, this is the stuff that we sift out, and we actually get to put that back in the compost because it's still helpful and can
Okay.
still decompose
Okay.
more.
So you would just take a pile of this, like, yeah. So this is almost ready.
Yeah, almost.
And you would just put it on here. And then, oh, there's a motor back here.
Yeah, so we turn this on and it vibrates.
And it just,
yeah, it goes crazy.
okay. And so the little stuff falls through and then the big stuff goes into the wheelbarrow.
Yep, the big stuff goes into the wheelbarrow and the little stuff falls through. And then the little stuff we eventually bag and sell some of it here, and then the rest of it goes to the habitat team in the nursery, and we use that to plant things.
Wait. So the habitat and the nursery team, they plant. So you have a nursery where you grow native plants,
Yes.
and then the habitat team is going out and they're planting and taking care of the native plants that are in Shipley Nature Center. That's so cool. Now, I've heard that there's another way of composting, and it has to do with worms. Is that true?
Yes, that's called vermicasting or vermiculture.
Do you do that here?
Yeah, we do.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Do you want to go see the worms?
Well, you know what? I think your reeb's hanging out over there. Can I separate leaves for you and you can go show your reeb the vermiculture?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll keep doing some leaf work for you and then you can go meet your reeb over at the shed. Is that where it's at? Awesome, cool.
Yeah, great.
Hey, Addie, I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me get dirty and learn a little bit more about composting.
Yeah, and thank you for coming and asking, and thanks for the help with the leaves.
Anytime, yeah. I love leaves.
Mark,
Hey, you reeb?
are you working?
Yeah, I'm pulling leaves off. What are you doing?
Well, I'm in the other composting area.
Hey,
Hi, Addie.
what's going on?
I don't know. You tell me, because I'm really looking at this container over here, and it looks different from the other composting containers that you were talking about with Mark.
Well, this is what I like to call a worm condo. There's a bunch of worms in here.
Ah, I like that, the worm condo. Okay, so how does it work? It looks like there's multiple layers.
So, yeah, the way it works is there's multiple layers which let the worms move up and down from the layers. And I can actually open this up.
Yes, please.
Let's see who's in here.
Whoa! Wow. Is that corn?
Yeah, that looks like a corn cob.
Whoa! So I'm seeing a lot of different things crawling around here. I'm seeing some ants. And oh, look at that.
Oh, there's a worm.
Oh, there it is. So now you mentioned there's like a condo with different layers and floors. And they stay in one layer, or they like to work their way up or down? How does that work?
They like to move depending on a few different factors. If we put new food in, a lot of the time that goes to the top layer.
Okay.
And they'll all move up there. And then when they're in the top layer, we'll go down and clean up some of the bottom layers. If it's really hot, they like to move towards the bottom.
Wow. Okay, so it really is like a condo, right? And they're just going from floor to floor. Can we see what that top layer looks like?
Yeah,
I'm really
let's
curious
see.
what each layer,
Let's see here.
how that looks. And oh, is that an avocado?
Yeah, that looks like an avocado.
Whoa.
It's been in there a bit though, it's moldy.
Whoa. Okay, look, there's a worm right over here. You see,
There's
you would think that they don't move as quickly, but it's getting up there.
even there's a spider over there. There's a tiny millipede too.
Now, Addie, I have a question for you because I know we were talking about the other composting methods. Is there an advantage to having worms in this type of container, in this condo-like, area for them?
So an advantage of this is instead of putting a lot of leaves and other plant material in here, we pretty much only put coconut husk in here and a few food items, and the worms will pretty much completely convert it instead of just doing a little bit of the decomposing.
Okay, got it. And so the final product, is it at the top or at the bottom?
It will end up at the bottom. So let's see what the bottom looks like for this. If we can lift it up.
Whoa! Okay. So what am I looking at here?
So we can tell that this actually hasn't been around for very long. This isn't very full, but some people like to call this worm tea.
Worm tea. I like
So it's still vermicastings, but it's a lot more water.
that. Okay. Is there something that the worm tea could be used for, or it's just part of the process that stays here until you have more?
Worm tea can be actually used for giving that to your plants as a supplement. If you didn't have a whole bag of worm castings, you can just pour worm tea on your plants and it does
really?
about the same thing. Yeah.
So this liquid, you can literally go around and just put it in your garden and your plants?
In fact, if you had worm castings already, you can make your own worm tea just by adding water to it.
Oh, that is super cool. Wow. Now, okay, question here. How long is that process from putting the food to eventually having either the tea or the castings from the worm?
So for the worms, it takes a bit longer because they're a bunch of little guys working.
Right.
It can take as short as a month to maybe 3 or 4, depending on the weather.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was actually longer than that. So that's a pretty quick process. And then the worm castings as well, also used in gardens and helping plants with the nutrients, correct?
Yep.
Wow, super cool. Okay, now remind me what this process is called again?
So this process is called vermiculture.
Vermiculture. Do they have smaller versions of this, or is it typically this type of size?
You can get smaller ones. It's just you have to really manage how many worms are in it and how much food you're giving them, because you don't want to overfeed them.
So they pretty much become your pets?
Yeah, they become your pets.
They become your pets that you have to feed, you have to take care of, make sure they have everything they need to survive in their condo, and then they in turn give you a product that you can use in your gardens. I love it. That is super cool.
Did someone say something about pets?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Mark, check out the worms here in the worm condo.
That's cool.
And the product that they give us that is actually very helpful for the plants that are growing out here.
That juice?
Yes.
The tea.
The tea.
Oh, yeah.
This is
I remember
tea.
hearing
And
about
you
that.
can actually put
Okay.
it directly on the plants as well.
Oh, cool. Like a little fertilizer?
Very cool. All the different layers that we have here.
That one's going for a swim.
So, question for you, Addie, because obviously I can see the avocado there. What are some things that probably you don't want to put in something like this?
So what you wouldn't want to put in here is you don't want any oils or fat. You wouldn't want salad dressing. You wouldn't want mayonnaise.
Okay.
And then the opposite of that would be is don't put anything that's super, super dry. Like if you wanted to put rice in here, you have to cook it.
Oh, interesting.
Because if you put rice in this,
Yeah.
you'll dry out your worms. If you just put raw rice.
Okay, it's because they absorb all the moisture, right? Okay, what about things like dairy products, meats, things like that?
Dairy and meat, even though the worms could technically break them down, they aren't very good at it. It can give them a stomachache even.
Oh, interesting.
And it would also make it very stinky.
Yes, that absolutely makes sense. Wow, that is very cool. Is it anything else that we should learn about the different layers here?
Let's see what's going on with these. We might be able to see, maybe one of these has new food on it. Let's see what this one is. Oh, that's the corn cob one.
That's the corn cob, and there's actually plants even growing. Some seedlings are popping up.
I wonder what those are.
Huh, interesting. I mean, that just shows you how it's so rich with nutrients that the plants want to grow there.
Oh, and
there's some good ones.
that's actually a really good example of that's mostly just worm castings.
Now, when you say worm castings, is that pretty much worm poop?
It's pretty much worm poop and anything that when they were chewing up the dirt didn't stay in their mouth.
Got it.
So it's like worm poop and worm crumbs.
worm
pretty
poop
much.
and worm crumbs, which is something that plants absolutely love. So this is pretty much a natural fertilizer. The worms are helping us. We have less organic waste with the food. It's kind of the cycle that's really important to have out here, right? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's super cool. Wow, I think this is amazing. I love this vermicomposting. I love the different layers on it. I love that you can see the finished product here that you can actually put directly on your plants, even that tea. And of course, who wouldn't want a condo of pet worms that you can talk to and work with? I know Mark probably want these pets at home.
Yeah,
Right,
maybe we
Mark?
can get him one.
See? Yeah, see, that's Mark for you. Cool.
All right, so we had a lot of fun at Shipley Nature Center learning about composting organic waste with that volunteer Addie. But I'm trying to find your Reek. He's supposed to be here. Oh, what are you doing?
We're talking about organics.
We are.
I want it to be organic with what we're talking about. All right, let's go. Here we go.
Get over here. All right. Oh, so Addie, wasn't that awesome?
Oh, so thankful for Addie showing us the different ways to compost
Yeah.
at Shipley Nature Center. It was amazing.
And something she told me off camera was she taught me how to make compost for home. And the
Oh,
recipe.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the recipe goes like this. It's 50-50.
Okay.
50 browns. So
Okay.
remember those dried up leaves we were
Yes,
seeing?
that's right.
So dried up leaves, paper, cardboard.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I have some. So, like used paper towels.
Paper. Okay.
There's also, these kind of paper towels too. That's fine. Paper. These are some like misprinted stuff that we had. So paper. This is paper plate, right?
Paper
So
plate.
it's not the plastic or the styrofoam, but it's paper.
It's paper.
She even said that like cotton balls.
Oh,
or you know
really?
those Q-tips that have the
Yes,
cardboard and
yes.
the cotton? This is organic. This comes from a plant.
That's true.
Let's see. But then she also said, just like in our other one, that having brown leaves. We talked about this where there's bacteria on these leaves and that bacteria is going to start the process.
Okay.
If you just use paper it doesn't have that bacteria, so it takes longer. So this is going to kind of like start it.
Got it.
So we have our browns, so we need about 50-50 browns to greens.
Okay.
Now you know about the greens, right?
I do. So as a matter of fact, when you're talking about greens, that's exactly what you're thinking about, right? Things that are going to be green.
Yeah. Oh, you remember Addie had me like peeling
Yes,
while you guys were
yes.
looking at worms, I was peeling leaves.
Yeah, so when I'm working on the yard or I'm trying to clip things to cut them back, this is a good opportunity to have those greens and use them in a compost bin.
But do we want the stems?
We probably don't want the stems, so just like we were doing at Shipley Nature Center, you can go ahead and start ripping those leaves off where you just leave the stems behind.
You rip the leaves off and leave the stems behind.
And leave the stems behind. Yes, leave the stems behind.
All right.
Okay, so that's the green.
Well, what
It's
if I
green.
don't have trees in my backyard? Like, what can I do?
Well, you can always use something like this.
A banana peel. Oh,
A banana peel, right? So fruits.
Aren't those dangerous if you step on them?
Yes, definitely. But here's the thing. Sometimes people forget when we're composting, take the sticker off. Because that's not organic. So take that off because that will not decompose in its container. So you have that
So
there.
that gets in the trash.
And
Comes over here.
our friend Sunshine,
Yeah.
the tortoise,
Yeah.
so some of her foods.
Like, I'm not gonna eat that, right? Like,
No.
That's gone to where we don't want to eat it.
Right, so if you just throw it in the trash, it's going to go to a landfill and it won't have the opportunity to decompose because it doesn't have all the ingredients like you mentioned in the recipe.
Yeah, and did you know that California State has passed a bill where we're trying to reduce how much organic waste goes to our landfill?
Yeah.
Because it creates methane gas within a landfill.
Right.
And that's a greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change.
That's right, that's right. So
By composting at home, are we helping the earth?
absolutely, absolutely. We're also just sending less things to landfills. Okay, so
always good.
And the number one thing that's going to landfills, food scraps.
That's true.
So it's a way you're actually doing something good, less trash to landfills. You have things that might be left over from food, some salads, some fruits. You have things maybe in your backyard as you're clipping, and all this stuff can actually become compost.
Interesting. I have an idea.
Yes.
So, we saw the compost bins at Shipley Nature Center, and they were big.
They were.
Like, what if I don't have room for that, or I can't buy a bin like that? Well, the idea is that I will make one and you'll make one. We'll make our own little compost bin as an experiment to see what happens, and then see if we can upscale that, and then eventually maybe get to one of the composters like Shipley. But, not everyone has to have a big one.
If you don't have the space to have something big with the worms, you could do something on a smaller scale. That's right.
So you ready? I think you decided you're going to do it a certain way, and I've decided I'm going to do it a certain way, and then we'll go from there.
Yep,
Okay. So part of this is we have to rip it all up, don't we?
we do.
Okay. So do you want to start ripping up and cutting up the greens, and I'll do the browns, and we'll go from there.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So one thing you definitely want to make sure is if you get a chance, a lot of times when you're making dinner, you're helping family make dinner, you're chopping up veggies, you're chopping up fruit. Okay, those pieces, when you're in the kitchen, you can put them right in a container to be able to compost later.
You know what I also heard is, like, if you don't want it to be smelly, you can put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it until you're ready to use
Yes, that's right. There are places where you can actually drop off some of this organic material and they will compost it for you. So you're still helping out because you're not just throwing it in the trash and it's not going to a landfill. The people that you drop it off with, they will actually be able to compost that material. So all those things in the kitchen, you can save them, freeze them so it doesn't stink because it can't smell because it's decomposing. And then you can go ahead and still help out.
Over
in the process.
In my neighborhood, we have a green bin, and now we're allowed to put eggs, meat,
Right.
grease, anything that comes from a plant or an animal.
Yeah.
We can put it in there, and they take it and they compost it in
That's
a
right.
big scale.
That's right.
But this is a small scale at home.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think we should race.
You want to try it?
Well,
What's your
you have
container?
a head start. Oh, well, I don't want to tell you.
You want it ready? 1, 2, 3. Container. What's your container?
What? I'm not done ripping up. You're not done with the leaves.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. So as you can see, I got something that's pretty small that I know I can keep at home. I don't have a lot of space, so if you have a balcony, in your kitchen, again, you can freeze it for that smell. That's why I chose something like this.
Okay. You know you need browns too.
I do need browns.
Here, you do the greens and I'll do the browns and we'll share. What? Okay, that works. The cotton. Now, I think if I pull it apart, it's going to be better. You know, this is some more brown.
So Mark, I have a question to you. We're talking about composting, you know, and I know that Addie was able to show us different methods of composting. So you don't necessarily have to have worms, do you?
No, no. You can just do it with just bacteria.
Because if I don't want to keep worms at home,
Well,
I mean, I could.
great pets.
I could,
They eat all the
but if my
scraps.
mom didn't want me to keep worms at home,
Oh, yeah, moms, yeah.
right? So maybe this is another alternative to be able to help with the organic waste.
Yeah. That, you know what? That's probably good with the leaves. And we'll use lettuce and the bananas. And I think, oh yeah, we need to get a little bit of this. So, let me get some of the sticks out. Don't need the sticks. Get a couple more brown leaves here. Okay.
Got my greens.
You got, oh man, you beat me. Okay. I'm almost done. Here we go. Okay, I think we're set. So, now all we have to do is kind of make it 50-50. And you might even want to tear these pieces of paper up even more. But
Should I tear the leaves even further than that?
I'm probably going to do it a little bit for mine.
Okay.
Just because I want this process to go a little quicker. So when we're doing our experiment.
Is it necessary?
No, it's all going to break down eventually.
Okay.
But the smaller it is, the easier it
Got it.
is.
Got
There's
it.
also more surface area and everything, so it's just going to be easier.
Which is
So-
why cutting up the banana peels is a good idea.
Yeah. Now, while you weren't looking, I actually put holes in your lid. Do you know why I put holes in your lid?
Without asking me? Why? Tell me.
Well, because compost needs greens, it needs browns, but it also needs water and air.
Okay.
So you might say, oh, I need to close it up so it doesn't smell, but it's going to get smelly if there's no air. Because
Okay.
that's going to make methane, and methane has a smelly smell.
Okay.
So having some airflow in there, and then we'll talk about how much water to add and everything after that. But, okay, so you got your container,
Yes.
and I have mine. Just a little bag.
Oh, a bag.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Actually, that's something that can fit.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So, okay, so we need 50-50. So I'll take half. You can have half. Put that in there. And then the leaves.
Some green. So again, things that could be right outside your house, things that could be in your kitchen. Think after you're cooking.
Okay.
Now, Mark, quick question for
want
you.
enough greens?
Question for you.
Yes.
Is there something, I forget, Addie did mention a few things that we should not be putting in our compost.
Yeah, if you're doing a small compost at home, you don't want to add any animal products. So any bones or cheese or milk products.
So dairy.
No dairy, no eggs, because in order for that to be safe,
Yeah.
you need to compost it at a higher temperature.
Okay.
And this is going to get to 120 maybe.
Okay.
Like it did it over at Shipley, but when you're using animal products, it needs to get higher.
Okay.
And so you have to do it a certain way to keep it safe, or else you get disease and stuff going. Do you need these greens?
Put them in there.
But I want more. Okay. So we're about 50-50. Now, do you remember Do you remember what else we need besides greens and browns?
We need water.
Water. So let me grab the water.
Okay, so again, we have the two different versions that are pretty much going to be doing the same thing.
Yeah. So what you're going to want to do is get it really wet because living things need water.
They do.
And even bacteria and everything, and the insects need some water. So why don't you go for it? Go ahead and, yeah, I'm going to spill your greens.
Okay. Is tap water okay?
Yeah, any water would be fine.
So just water from the kitchen.
Yeah. Even like a rain barrel or something. I'm just going to go in here and break stuff up even a little bit more.
Should I shake it?
Yeah, you should shake it and mix it up. If you don't want to get your hands dirty like I am, you can kind of just shake and bake.
Shake and bake. Now,
Shake and compost.
how do I know that it's working?
Well, you're not going to know right away. This is probably going to take, you know what? There's a video of a banana peel that's decomposing over time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a time lapse. And it should give us a little bit of an idea of what this is going to kind of look like over time.
Okay.
So if you're looking at that video, it'll give you a kind of, okay, if this was just hanging out, but we're adding stuff. We added the brown, so there's more bacteria in there. We're adding water. We're going to mix this throughout the process. So, but yeah, let's see what happens. Because this is going to take a while. It's not going to happen right before your eyes. So let's look at the time lapse, and then we'll come back, and we'll talk about how we're going to set up this experiment and what we need to do.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Isn't that cool? It just
Goodness.
like disappeared. Almost.
It was, yeah. Yeah, that was really cool seeing that banana, because I love bananas.
And what did it turn into?
Soil.
Yeah, it turned into soil. So in our experiments here, yours, you're going to be able to put a lid on, but it has airflow. Mine, I'm going to just kind of leave open, and I'm going to put it on the back patio or something. And just every now and then, you need to go in and you spray it and mix it up. So maybe every couple days, make sure it has moisture. If it's a little dry, spray it, and then just mix it, and then leave it. And it will just do its thing.
I think this is something that I could do at home. I don't have a lot of space to work with, so having something as small as this jar and putting kitchen scraps in there with some things that I clip maybe outside, I think I could do that.
Starting small and working your way big, or?
I also like the tip that you give about freezing things.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't want that smell or kind of looking at that, so freeze it and then take it somewhere else and they can compost it for you. That's another really cool
Yeah,
option.
because at Shipley, they had different stages, right?
Yeah.
Well, you only have one jar and I only have one bag, so
Right.
we can't do the different stages. So after this becomes soil, we can put it in a plant,
Yeah.
and then we can get the stuff out of the freezer and do it that way. But it's not going to compost in the freezer because the bacteria isn't going as
It won't grow in there, that's right.
Yeah, so, but yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you instructions on how to make your own compost at home or at school, and then you can join us. So about a month or so, this should turn into dirt.
And we can use that dirt again.
It's just a cycle of life, right?
A cycle. Love it.
Awesome. Hey, we'll see you next time.